Hi, this is my how-to video on how to pressure can venison. I've got some venison out of the freezer here and I want to raw pack method pressure can this venison. Like I said, I have it out of the freezer. It's all cubed up, defrosted. I got most of the fat and the gristle and that off of it. You don't want any of that when you process these jars. Because this is meat, you have to pressure can it. And as we go through this, I'll be talking about the pressure canner and the whole process. But first, you start out with clean hands, washed soap, clean hands. I've sanitized my jars. Hot soapy water, wash them first, and then I put them in the oven at 250 for about 20 minutes, just to get them nice and hot and to kill any other germs that would be left on them. In this method, we'll start out by filling the jars. I've decided to use quart jars as I've got a bigger family to feed, but that's totally up to you if you want to use pint-sized jars or quart jars. So we will start out by filling our jars. Like I said, I'm going to be using quart jars, and my canner holds 7 quarts. So hopefully, I don't think I'll get a full batch out of this, but I'm hoping to. And if not, it's okay to run the canner without a full batch. So we will start by filling the jars. You want to fill the jars and leave an inch of head space, which means you want to leave an inch from the top out for juices, or just you need that much space to help with the vacuum. That will be the vacuum seal that will happen after you put it through the process, or put it through the canner. So I will go ahead and I will fill these jars, and I will be right back. Alright, so I'm back and I have filled 6 quart jars. I didn't have enough for a full batch, but I had just enough for 6 quarts. So I've got all of this meat in here, and I have at least an inch head space here. Now, for the recipe I'm using, they are calling for a teaspoon of salt in each quart. And because I'm using the raw pack method, you don't have to add any liquid to this recipe. As the meat cooks, it makes its own juice, and it's fine. It's wonderful like this. I've cooked it the other way, where I've added broth to the raw meat and then cooked it, but my jars for some reason didn't seal. I wasn't happy with that method, so I have gone to using just the raw pack method, which I don't use any liquid and just add a little salt. I know people people do add vegetables like onions and peppers and that to this, and then as it cooks, it picks up those flavors. But for this video, I'm just going to do it this way and add, if I want to later when I go to use this meat, I can add the onions or flavorings or whatever. So I've added the salt to all of these, and now what I'm going to do is, before I put the lids on, I have a little vinegar in this paper towel, and I want to go around and I want to wipe down each rim. This is really important. You want to make sure you get any grease or food or anything off of the rims. Because if you have anything like grease or food or water or anything on these rims, it won't seal. So you have to have a nice tight seal. So as I'm doing this too, I'm checking for any chips or nicks or anything off of the jars that might have happened as I was washing them or whatever. So I just, like I said, want to make sure that they're nice and clean. So from here, we're going to go I'm going to go get the lids, and I will show you that step next. Now I almost forgot, an important thing you want to do is, because you're not adding any liquid or anything, you want to go around and you want to, I have this little tool here that I got with my canning kit, and you want to burp your jars. You want to go around and you want to make sure any big pockets of air are out of the jars, because the air, you want as much air as much air out of these jars as possible, because the air, if it's left in here, any botulism spores could be in the air, and botulism it's a pretty bad bug. It's a spore, and it's odorless, tasteless, you can't see it, it's not mold, but if it gets into your jar, it'll spoil your jar and it'll make you sick if you eat this food. So the point is just to get as much air as you can out from between these pieces of meat. So by doing this, like I said, you get rid of all of the big pockets of air. Now I realize you're not going to be able to get all of the pockets out, but just the goal is just to get the big pockets out. So I will go around. I will go around to all of these jars and burp them. And then what I'm going to have to do again, because I forgot to do this, I'm going to have to go around and wipe all of the rims again. So I will go ahead and do that, and I will be right back. Alright, again, I'm back. I'm ready to start putting the lids on. Now, a new thing with the lids is a new, they're saying, the professionals or what have you, are saying that you don't have to heat your lids and your bands. It's not needed to make a good seal or get a good seal. I've always done it this way, so I'm going to continue to do it this way. I've never had, in doing it this way, I feel more comfortable. I'm starting out with warm jars, and I just feel like putting them into a warm canner. I just want everything to be warm. I realize that the meat is not warm, but the jars are warm and in a expanded state. So I just feel that if I were to put a cold band and lid on, it wouldn't seal right. So the thing with the seals and the bands is, when you are pressure cooking them, you want to put them on, but you only want to put them on finger tight, which is like that. You still, when you put them in the canner and you're processing them, you still want them to be able to breathe and to get rid of all the air out of it. So you only want to do it finger tight. If you were to crank it down as tight as you could, then none of that exchange could happen while it was in the canner, and your seal would be bad. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put all of these bands on, and then we will be up to being able to put them into the canner. So I will be right back. Alright, so I'm back, and I just wanted to show you my canner here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. I'll try to zoom in on this. I have a Presto pressure canner and cooker, and this is my model number. That's important because Presto, I guess, just has a number of different models, and my model, the 0175510, holds, or is able to hold, 7 quarts, or up to 7 quarts, I should say. Like I said, I only had enough for 6 quarts, so that's gonna be just fine, because nothing's touching. I have it spaced out here, so nothing is touching. I have 3 quarts of water in the bottom there heating up per the instructions. You don't ever want to let your canner run dry, as it'll wreck your canner, wreck your batch, and just won't make for a good day. This canner has worked out pretty well for me. I I kind of like it. It did, I have to tell you, it did scare me. It did intimidate me the first time I used it, as I'd never pressure canned before. But now after using this, I feel a lot better about it. So that while everything is starting to warm up here, I'm going to show you the lid for my canner here. Now my canner has a dial which will read the pounds of pressure in it as it comes up to pressure, but I wanted to show you too, it also has the weight that we'll have to put on it, and I'll show you when that goes on. So I'm going to take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll put the lid on the canner and get this process going. Alright, so I'm ready to put the lid onto my canner, and what you want to do is there is a V on the lid and there is a V on the pot itself, and you want to match them up and you want to close it. I have to tell you, so this now it's locked. There is a seal on the inside of the lid. There is a gasket that seals, so it's not gonna blow up or blow off, because it's just, that's what keeps it on. And on the sides here there is grooves that lock into place when the lid is put on right. Now I should tell you, there is a couple of things on the lid here that you're going to want to be aware of. Like I was telling you, there is the dial that will tell you how many pounds of pressure, how much pressure is going on inside the canner here. There is the vent, which we're going to keep an eye on this, because as the heat builds up, the pressure is going to start building in here, and when we're going to wait for a steady plume of steam to start venting out of this, and when that happens is when we have to let this vent for 10 minutes, and once it's vented for 10 minutes, then we're going to be able to put this weight on, and then once we do that, then we can start timing. One thing you want to be able to do is, before you put the lid on, is you want to look through. You're going to be able to see through this vent, and you're always going to want to make sure that it is clear, that you can see daylight on the other side. If you can't see daylight, or if it's plugged, don't use it. Don't use the canner until you can get that cleared out. There's another kind of a safety thing here. As the pressure starts building up, this valve here, it'll shoot up, and anytime this little lock is up, you know that there's pressure in the canner, and you shouldn't try to open it. You should just leave it alone. That's a good indicator of if you have any pressure inside or not. So we're going to continue to let this canner come up to pressure, and then I will show you once there is pressure inside. I'll show you what this looks like when it's sticking up, and I will show you the plume of steam as it warms up. So we'll be right back. Okay, while this is warming up, I forgot to mention a few things. Because I'm using quart jars, I'm processing quart jars. The amount of time that we have to cook these for after it comes up to pressure is 1 hour and 30 minutes for quarts. If I were to have used pints, it would be 1 hour and 15 minutes. So I just wanted to let you know I had forgot to mention that earlier. Another thing too is with these pressure canners, I've been talking about the pounds of pressure per square inch here, and this is all based on your elevation, how many pounds that you are going to cook it at. At the elevation that we're at, the recipe calls for 11 pounds of pressure. To figure out when you're pressure canning, what you need to do is you need to find out what your elevation is, and then if you have any questions or anything, a good resource to get a hold of is your local extension agent within your county. I contacted my extension agent, and they let me know that for most things when I'm processing, I'm going to use per my elevation, and this recipe I'm going to process my things at 11 pounds per square inch. If, like I said, if you had questions or anything like that, I would get a hold of them. So we will come back when this is up to pressure. Alright, we're back now, and it's a little bit louder, so I hope you can hear me. This thing is bubbling away and kind of rumbling, and now I can hear the steam venting. So I've let this come up to temperature. It's boiling. I can hear it boiling on the inside, but I don't know if you can see this in here. It's now venting a steady stream of steam, and that's what we're looking for. So now we can go ahead and we can start timing. We have to let this vent for 10 minutes before we put the weight on, to let the entire canner come up to pressure, or start building pressure. And now as it's come up to, I wanted to tell you, this finally, it kind of burbled and bubbled for a while as the pressure was building inside, but now, because there is a noticeable amount of pressure inside, this has popped up, and this will stay up, like I said before, the entire time that there's pressure present in the canner. So we will go ahead and we'll start the timer, and we'll let this vent for 10 minutes, and then after that point we will be able to put the weight on, and I'll show you that after the 10 minutes is up. So we'll be back in 10 minutes. Alright, we're back now. My timer has gone off, my 10 minutes are up, and I just wanted to show you here that even though this has been venting for 10 minutes, I don't know if you can see this real well, but no, it's not reading any it's not reading any amount of pressure right now. It will. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my weight on it. I'm going to use a cover here, as it's pretty hot, and this weight fits right onto this vent here. So since we put this on now, in a little bit here we should see our dial start to climb, the pressure start to build. And like I said, for this recipe we're gonna cook this meat, and once it comes up to 11 pounds of pressure, we're gonna start the time for 1 hour and 30 minutes, and we're gonna hold it at that 11 pounds of pressure for the entire time. Right now, see, you can see it's starting to climb a little bit now, and I'm going to keep a careful watch on this. I don't want it to go above 11 pounds of pressure, and I don't want it to go below 11 pounds of pressure. So as it's climbing and as it gets closer to that 11 pounds, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn my heat down. It's going to be different for each stove that you cook on, where you want your heat, what heat you want it at. So like I said, once it comes up to the 11 pounds of pressure, we'll go ahead and we'll start our time, and then we will be back. So hi guys, we're back. Just wanted to tell you that we ended the 1.5 hours. We're done with the timing, and all I've done is I've shut off my burner, and I'm gonna off camera, of course, I'm gonna move the canner just gently and just move it over to the burner next to it. I just want to get it off the heat, take it away. What I'm gonna do is now we're just gonna wait. We're gonna let everything cool down. We're gonna let all the pressure come out. Kind of let itself out. I'm not going to touch the weight until all of the pressure has been released and this vent will have gone down. It's hard to say how long that'll take. I just let it do it on its own. That's why I like moving it off the burner. Just get it away off the heat right away. and we're gonna do that, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what everything looks like. We'll be able to open up the canner and take the cans out. So we'll be back in a little bit. All right, guys, we are back. We've let the canner cool down. It is still really, really, really warm, but the pressure has gone down. The safety valve has gone down. There was no pressure reading on the dial, so I went ahead and I took the weight off, and now we're ready to take the lid off. Now I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna grab another pot holder here, just because it could still burn you. It's that hot. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna twist the lid, and what I'm gonna do is when I open it, I'm gonna open it away from me because it is still so warm inside. There's gonna be a lot of steam that escapes here, and I don't want to burn myself. So when you do it, you open it away, so then all the steam, there we go, escapes. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this to the side. And now I'm going to go ahead and these, oh my goodness, they're just bubbling away. You're going to notice here when you go ahead and you take these out, I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take these jars out, and they are all still boiling. And that's a good thing. If you see them all boiling, that means that you have a good seal, or that it will most definitely probably seal. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lift one out very carefully. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it on a towel here that I've got to protect my countertops. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. I'm going to put the camera back here. There we go. I want to just show you here what I mean. They're all boiling. So now after you get to this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just let them be. I'm going to let them sit. I'm going to let them cool down naturally. And I'm not going to touch them for 24 hours. That's kind of the recommended time, just to let them sit. They will start sealing here as they cool down. That vacuum inside will suck the lids down and you'll hear a ping. And tomorrow when I come back, you can't really see it, but all of the lids right now are bulging out. And like I said, as they cool, all that air will suck out and it'll pull that lid down tight, and you'll be able to see if they've all sealed. So that is pressure canning venison. I used, oh my goodness, a couple of different resources here that I've consulted. Many people I've talked to, but like I said, I contacted my local extension office at the county level. They were just a wonderful wealth of information. And I've also used my Ball Canning Blue Book, which was another wonderful resource. So if you have any questions, you can go to either one of those. And this was my how-to video on, oh, there was one. This is my how-to video on how to pressure can venison. Sorry guys, I wanted to bring you back here. I just wanted to mention, remember how when I put the jars into the canners, how I hadn't put any liquid in? I want you guys, I don't know if this is a good, I want you to see how much liquid was made by cooking them. So you can imagine if you had already put broth in with the meat and then processed it, how you I had that happen to me. I had cooked a batch and added broth, and my batch was ultimately wrecked because I had none of them sealed. I had too much liquid in there, and the jars didn't seal. So I've had very good luck with just doing this raw pack method, and no liquid added. So just wanted to show this to you.